back in this thing.
Once again, I feel like I always say welcome back to the podcast. It's 11:11. Starting this podcast in divine timing.
Why do you say that?
11:11.
Oh.
Divine numbers. Yeah, welcome back. Today's Friday. What's the date today? March
19th.
March 19th. Holy crap.
Ooh, a deep breath there.
It's actually,
my goodness.
You can't breathe? It's actually been a really long week.
Dude, I don't know why. Maybe because it's daylight savings, but
Maybe that is why.
yeah, I think so.
You know what? You might be onto something there.
Dude, honestly, if you're watching this and you see us, I'm wearing a sweater.
Dude, Jerome's in like cozy mode. Like, what's up, dude?
Actually, I haven't gone to the gym yet, so I'm getting ready to go after.
Oh, well, there you go. My back is killing me this morning. I'm dying.
Well, on the struggle bus, I can't breathe either.
No, I feel pretty good though. I mean, my back hurts, but other than that, I feel really good.
Before we get started and continue going, audibletrial.com/Cafecito Sarina. Again, it's going to appear at the bottom of the screen.
No, just why do you mumble it?
I'm not trying to talk.
Say it. No, don't say it fast. Just say it. Just say it.
Side effects may occur.
They're already here listening.
You're not hearing love. Hearing
you may feel stressed when you hear Jerome mumble and you can't understand anything he's saying. But yeah, get yourself free Audible credit.
Read, educate yourself, calm yourself, meditate.
When's the last time you read? Have you been reading?
I read an Instagram caption the other day.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
That's what I
actually still need to finish my Nicholas Sparks book that I bought for enjoyment, and I feel like I never read for enjoyment. I've been reading all the other things.
You read educational stuff.
I'm behind on my Ayurveda.
You're trying to grow.
Book. Yeah, but I need to just relax.
One or the other works fine.
Yeah, well, I love it. Get yourself a free book. Why not?
All right, moving on. Excuse me.
You tired today?
I don't know. I just got like
What's going on? I think Jerome has my pregnancy symptoms.
I got that breathing thing. It's so annoying.
Like me?
No, dude. Like if you have anxiety, I don't know why you just
Those deep breaths.
Did you get hit by shortness of breath for no fucking reason at like the worst times? And it's like, oh, I can't breathe, and you just start taking heaving big breaths for no reason. Oh no, what is that? Are we gonna run into that?
Yeah. See, squirrel. I see it. Jerome's looking at my laptop. There's something showing up. Don't worry, I got this behind the scenes.
Thanks, dude.
No reason to panic.
Anyways, dude, I don't know. I get these moments where I just take these huge deep breaths. It's so annoying, and it started when my anxiety started almost like a year or 2 years ago, and I started to get it a lot when I would be driving to my jiu-jitsu class, like just in the car for like no reason.
You're
just
having,
deep breath in moments where it feels like I can't breathe, and then it just goes away. But it's so weird. Like you focus on your breath so much that it starts to feel like you can't breathe.
Excuse me.
You got all of it. And it's just it's an annoying thing, and I looked it up and stuff, and there I go again. People say like you just deal with it, and you kind of like you have your own tools on how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I just do a 5-second count, like breathe in for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds.
That helps.
Yeah, I usually do that maybe like 3 or 5 times, and it really helps, and it goes away. But that's neither here nor there. It just happened to me right now when we sat down. It was weird.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's funny because I see you doing that sometimes, and I'm always like, "Are you okay?"
It happens a lot of the times to me when we go to bed too. Like it happened yesterday night.
Yeah. Well, sometimes like just in the evenings we'll be watching TV, like just kind of relaxing, and you'll start doing that out of nowhere. And then of course I'll ask him, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I'm like, "What's wrong?" But he's just trying to manage it in his head, so he's like, "No, everything's fine," but he like kind of shuts down for a few.
Yeah, it feels like I can't talk.
Yeah. And then I'll ask you again later, like, what happened? And it's almost like you can't. It's interesting. Like anyone with anxiety maybe can relate. Is it's like something triggered that, like something happened there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just don't know.
I think I was reading the news right before this.
That's awesome.
That's what it was.
That's smart.
Dude, it's weird. It's like any little thing that like could just trigger like anxiety or stress, it just makes it happen. It's the worst.
So how could we troubleshoot that situation? What do you think it is that you maybe should take a step back from? Jerome wakes up.
I'm sorry for yawning if you're watching. I keep yawning.
Jerome wakes up, watches the news. Jerome goes on with his day, takes a break, checks in on the news. What is happening on the news that you need to see all day? Like once every 24 hours, probably more than enough.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because then you get anxiety throughout the day, and that your quality of life is not the best.
Dude, my ability to make shit up in my head is fucking next level. Like, I'm fucking living in a different dimension when I start reading the news and shit. Like, I think like 6 months ahead, 5 months ahead, 10 months ahead, 12 months ahead, I'm like, oh my God, we're all dead.
I can feel that from you with like everything with COVID. Like, you got your vaccine, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna throw that out there. And we've been like talking about, you know, your sister's getting married in a couple weeks, like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. We're having the baby soon. Like, all of these things. And I asked you this morning do you think by June, by the time we have the baby, like things will be different? Like the hospital will be opened up?
Yeah, it's like
Jerome's answer, no, there's too many variants of COVID going on right now. There's just
the strains, bruh.
I'm like, oh my God.
They got me again with the news and the fear porn.
You need to relax. Yeah, it's crazy.
I thought we were turning a corner and I read the news and I was like, oh my gosh.
The news.
But yeah, they got me.
Anyways, but that's that. I guess if you're dealing with anxiety, you could probably relate. And
yeah, it's like
challenging.
it just like right now it just went away. Like it happens though. It comes in its waves. You learn to deal with it. It's weird.
No, it makes sense.
Like before, it might have been something, but now it's better.
Yeah. Well, I love hearing the birds in the background.
People can hear that. It's like ASMR for birds.
It's nice. I love it. All right, what's on the agenda today?
All right, sorry, my phone's out. Because on my screen, if you don't know, babe, right now I have on my laptop if you're watching, I have Florida versus Virginia Tech. This is March Madness. So for about...
Because he does so well at multitasking.
So for like 2 weeks in March, at the last couple of weeks in March, there's games you can see right here that have the scoreboard.
Pretty sure everyone knows that.
I mean, girls like you who don't watch
March Madness,
sports.
even I know about March Madness. It's a bunch of fucking games for basketball in March. That's all you need to know. Bye. See you later.
I have the game up and it's really good. So I was like, I like to watch the last like 3 minutes because it's the most fun part. That's how you know I'm like a fake fan of this.
You are a very fake fan.
But I love to watch like the buzzer beaters. I do like basketball.
All right.
Anyways, moving on. Let me turn my phone up.
What did that have to do with your phone exactly?
Oh, because I usually have it pulled up on my laptop, but I don't because I have the game on. Anyways, so this past weekend was kind of, maybe this is why the weeks felt long, but this past weekend we had to put down our family dog.
Yeah.
And it was actually very emotional and sad.
Yeah. I love how I said, what's on the agenda today? And you were like, we had to put down our family dog.
Well, that's what part of it was. Like,
Damn!
I had on our discussion.
0 to 100 real quick.
Sorry.
Yeah, so the agenda, I guess, so to speak, that what we wanted to talk about today was how the weekend, this last weekend went. We always talk about how the weekend went.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this last weekend, we had to put down Jerome's sister's dog, her fiance's dog, more so to speak. And
feels like everybody's dog.
It is very much Matt's dog, like your brother-in-law. Well, it's his dog. But yeah, it's our family dog, right?
Yeah.
But he like, when Jerome's sister met her now fiance, like he had that dog. Like he brought it into the family. And so it's very much his dog. However, like we have lived with Jerome's sister and her now fiance.
They're roommates.
And their dog. And they've been together for a little bit longer than we have. Like it's been over 8 years. Yeah. So the point is, that dog is very much a part of our family, and he's been getting sick for a while. I mean, he had
liver cancer.
Yeah. So, but we didn't know that until just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he like stopped eating. He got really skinny.
It
happened like bang, bang, bang.
If you think back, you can kind of like think like, I remember when we got Oso, which we've almost had him for 4 years now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
In June, and. Right? We didn't get him in June. We got him in August. Yeah. But his birthday's in June. If you think back, Oso, our dog, and their dog, Barney, used to play so much. Like crazy. They were buddies. They were like all,
Starsky and Hutch.
It was wild. And there was a period, I'd say about a year ago, where he did start to lose his energy. Yeah. He didn't really do it so much anymore. And, it's interesting though because he wasn't old. They think, I mean, he was adopted, but they think he was like 10,
8, 9, 10.
Yeah, a 9. I think around 9. Yeah.
But he was always like trying to play and like bring toys up to you.
Full of energy. Yeah.
He's like this big like pity head. And he'd like walk up to you.
Super cute. Half lab, half pit. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we also lived with him for a couple of years, so we have those memories as well. And yeah, so anyways, they found out that, he stopped eating, he was losing his energy. Yeah. So they took him in to get checked out, and they told him that he has liver cancer.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
And that was literally just a couple of weeks ago.
It's like 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks.
It hasn't even been a month, right?
No, it hasn't even been a month. Remember I told you, I was like, dude, my mom's birthday is like in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's going to make it.
So they found out, they did one procedure to kind of drain him. They got some meds. They thought it would help. He kept declining. Yeah. And so within a couple of weeks, they decided
to put him down.
They live about 2.5 hours from us. Yeah. So on Saturday, they had found someone to come in and put him to sleep. And so they invited all of us over if we wanted to say goodbye, spend the day. So we did that, which was super hard.
Dude, it was tough. It's funny because like people will say like, "Oh, it's just a dog," but crazy. Damn, man,
it's not just a dog,
right? It feels so weird to say. But you've lost family members.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah, I have. And I mean, it's okay, it's not a human, but it's still a part of your family.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so I think, and that's why Jerome always says, he's like, we've never lost anyone in our family.
Yeah,
at least your siblings, you guys haven't, your parents have. But yeah, it was really hard. Like we stopped, Alex got him 2 toys. There's this really cool stuffed animal toy that is for dogs with anxiety, which we got at PetSmart.
Petco.
And it's really cool. It comes with a heating pack that goes in the inside, which lasts for 24 hours. So it feels like you can put this dog with your dog and to comfort them, and then there's like a little heart that beats, so it calms the dog. So Alex got that, and he put it with Barney, and he also they have another dog, so we were kind of thinking,
they had just got another dog not even a year ago.
Yeah.
It's a quarantine dog. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are getting dogs during the quarantine.
Yeah.
But they got one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I don't even know what kind of dog she is.
She's mixed. I mean, she's adopted as well, but she looks like a lab, mixed with something small, like a Chihuahua or something.
I don't think it's
they said something like that, like she's mixed with a small breed.
Yeah, she's tall but skinny.
Yeah.
But looks like a lab.
Yeah. But so Alex thought, hey, let's put this stuffed animal with Barney, as he has his final day, and then we'll give it to the other dog, Storm, so she's not lonely either. Yeah. It was very sweet.
What's super cute about their dogs is that their little dog that they had just got, her name's Storm, she would like cuddle next to Barney, which is the dog that passed away. But it was like the cutest thing. Like she would literally like just nuzzle in him and then create like this cute little dog ball. Yeah. And like she did that from the beginning. So it was kind of heartbreaking.
They're very bonded.
Yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking to see the little puppy lose her brother. Essentially. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it sucked.
It was super sad. I think for me, it didn't. Jerome was emotional. You've been emotional for weeks before it happened.
Because when Lydia told me, when my sister told me, and she was like, hey, like she told everybody, she's like, hey, it's our whole family knows who Barney is. It's the dog's name. She was like, he has liver cancer, and I was like, oh shit. So like immediately I Googled it.
Dude, anxiety. This goes right back to your. I didn't Google it. They already talked to a doctor. We don't need to Google it.
But I did Google it, and man, it was like textbook. Like what Google's. This is like the first time ever that I've read something online and then it like translated over like
the first time Wikipedia was right.
Dude, it wasn't like health stuff. You know how it's always exaggerated. Like, dude, I looked up for dogs and like I read up on Reddit and stuff, and it's just like everyone's account was like the same. Like, dude, it lasted like 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. Super
fast. Like he stopped eating. Like everything that they said online happened in person. So from the moment she told me, I had been like preparing. I was telling myself, I was like, oh, I guess it's time to say bye to the dog.
So you're wild, dude, man. Yeah. So anyways, you have some anxiety things going on for sure.
Dude.
But I did not do that. And so I was fine until I think the night before they literally said like, hey, if you guys want to come tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we had been telling Alex, our son, for a while. We'd been telling him like, yeah, Barney, because Alex met Barney when he was like 2, 3, maybe?
I'd say like 3.
And he lived with him for a few years.
Yeah, so I was his boy.
So he had a relationship with him, yeah. And so for Alex, this would be the first, like, loss that he's ever experienced, the first death he's ever experienced. And so that had me thinking a lot, and I think that's what hit home for me. And I was like, oh wow, how we handle this is going to be a really big deal.
Makes me sad right now.
It's sad. Don't cry.
Zooming on my face. Cut it.
And so that was hard. And so, you know, we had been telling him, and Alex is pretty good. I mean, he knows, like, I lost my dad. We talk about my dad. He'll bring him up every once in a while. Yeah. He'll say, like, yeah, Mom, like, your dad passed away, or, you know, he'll say sweet little things. And so he you know, it's an open conversation. However, this was different. And so when the night before they texted us, we had to then tell Alex, hey, you know, like, tomorrow's going to be the day.
You're going to talk us through this?
Well, it's a big deal. I think when we talk about kids and how we handle these situations, everyone's different, but I think it's worth talking about.
It's hard for me.
Hopefully we both don't start crying.
I wear my emotions on my sleeve, for those who know me.
Well, so the night before we told Alex right away, and we just said, you know, hey, I don't remember exactly what we said, but we just said, like, you know, tomorrow's going to be the day. So do you guys want to, they invited us to go over to the house. Do you want to go so you can say goodbye? And I kind of just, I asked Alex as if it was a question, like he had an option. And he said yes. He said, yeah, I want to go. And so, but then he got really sad. Yeah. And I think that's when it got hard for me, which makes me more sad because
I was going to say, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it makes me more sad because then I see Alex getting sad and he's like, you know, and then that's when it hit me and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the first loss he experiences. Oh. Yeah.
It's funny because it's not funny, but leading up to us telling him and saying like eventually it's going to happen, he would say like, oh, I know Barney's going to go to sleep for like a very long time. Yeah. Like forever. And it's like he tries to put on like a brave face and like he thinks it's going to be okay. Yeah. But then like, it's like everybody, it's like every human or something like and then you think about it because he's old enough now.
Yeah. He's 8. Almost 9.
His niece is, how old is she? 6, 7?
Delilah?
Yeah.
Your niece? You said his niece.
My niece, sorry.
She is 7.
She was there, and it's almost like she didn't fully understand it.
No.
Man, it's crazy, like, this age that you see with Alex, like, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, now he's 8, and he's about to be 9 in, like 4 months. Like, you just see how, like, man, like, every month is, like, he, like, gets older and older, and, like, his vocabulary gets bigger, his brain's getting bigger, like, all these things. So it's, like, death now is, like, something he can understand.
Yeah, he understands
makes him sad versus, like, his, versus, like, my niece, who was kind of, like, still a little confused about it.
Like, she gets it, but there's no emotional
exactly nothing. It's weird, like she's still super innocent little kid versus Alex, he's a little older, like just a couple months. It's so interesting.
Well, he's a year and a half older than her.
That's a lot. So and he fully understood it, and Barney was someone that obviously meant something to him. So it's like he tried to handle the situation by being like strong and brave, and then like the emotion kind of hits him like at like a time, and it's just kind of like tears him down. He's like, oh shit.
It was weird to see him process like for the first time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
to see him like he'll get sad and like want to lay with you, and then he'll kind of cry, but then he'll kind of turn his head and try to hide his emotions. And that's what got Jerome and I talking about, like, you know, that especially with boys where we tell them like stop crying or like don't cry, or there's like this masculine.
I've done that to him.
Yeah, and you don't do it in a like boys don't cry sort of thing. Like you've done it when it's like something ridiculous and you're like, seriously, stop crying.
Yeah, like, he's like whining.
What
it's
are
annoying.
You doing? Yeah, and which is like total. I think that's normal. Maybe it's not. I think it is when they're like crying for what you would say is nothing, but to them it's something.
Well, I don't like when he does that thing where he like fake cry. I'm like, dude, you're a little older now. Well, you talk to me.
Yeah, it's hard because it's like you say fake crying, and then you're like, is he fake crying? And then am I being too soft? Is like this whole conscious parenting thing, and then it's like, what the fuck?
Well, my thing is like, so Alex always does this, and this is just Alex, but he'll be like I can't do it, and he'll like start crying, and then he'll be like, but like, can like I do it tomorrow? In like the middle of a sentence.
They just snap right out of it, like, and Drum's like, you're faking it.
That's like fake crying to me versus like when I seen him crying for Barney, it's like, man, he was hurt.
Yeah.
That's different. Like, go ahead and do that. You know what I'm saying?
No, but it was interesting because as we talked about it, we were kind of saying like, you know, this is a big deal because it's interesting to watch him process his emotions during this time and seeing how he, like, for example, so even when we went over to say goodbye and we got to spend a couple hours with him, it was interesting because he he cried. Alex was pretty emotional, like at home.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, he like kind of said his goodbyes and he cried, and we cried together and all the things. But then I noticed as we were saying goodbye by ourselves to Barney, when we stood up, he turned his head away from everyone, didn't want anyone to see him crying, and then he just deflected and he started pointing at photos on the wall and showing me like, oh mom, look, there's pictures right there. It's like he didn't want anyone to see him cry.
Or he was trying not to let himself cry.
Or he was trying not to cry, which I was like, no, I don't want him to be that way. Yeah. Like, cry if you want to cry. Like, it's okay.
Trying to be a soldier.
Yeah. It's like, and that's so, I was having, back to the conversation about my clients, but I have a client who's a guy, and we were talking about this. We were working on, he's a life coaching client, so we were working on, it's a practice that I do with my clients, but to help him map out like the vision for his life. And one of the things was mental health for boys. Mm-hmm. And he was like kids, but like specifically like how boys are taught like, oh, you have to be tough, and men who show their emotions are like too sensitive and like all of these things. But it's like, wow, this, it's I feel like more so now we have this like new wave that's kind of starting to happen, but where it's like, what the hell? Like, what is this generation of all these old times of masculine energy? Is like, be in tune. What is more attractive and more incredible than a man who's in tune with his feelings?
What do they call it? Like the divine masculine energy or something?
Yeah, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. It's just interesting is like, why would we ever teach men to like not show their emotions? Oh, you can't be soft?
I had to start.
The fuck, are you a robot?
That had to start from somewhere though, right?
Well, no, it did. I'm sure if we looked it up somewhere to do with fucking joining the army or something, manning you up, it's probably Hitler.
What?
It's probably someone really mean.
No, dude, what?
Well, that's where it came from. Someone who was trying to fucking do something crazy.
No.
Okay.
Hey, like, you think about like even like going way back, like fucking like Roman soldiers and stuff, mm-hmm. or like the Spartans or whatever. Like they try to make the guys tough.
Yeah, the masculine energy.
And so like army generals or whatnot. Like that had to have come from somewhere, not showing the emotion.
Yeah, I mean, because you have to be the hunter and you have to like go and do all the things. And
it was like
just at home.
It's like evolutionary.
Yeah,
you had to, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening now. We're getting all soft.
Rightfully so. You don't have to get completely soft, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you should be in tune with your emotions. I think it's sad when I hear, like moms still telling their kids like, why are you so soft, or like, why are you crying, or like that's another conversation. But that came up with the whole thing over the weekend when Barney was getting put to sleep. There were just so many things where it's like it's like such mixed emotions over like who gets to cry and who doesn't. And it's like, oh my God.
Who said that?
Now, obviously, I'm trying not to say now's not the time, but I'm just saying that it did come up. And it's like grown-ass men, and it's like, hey, you grown-ass man, you get to cry. Like, you know what I mean? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think it was hard, but in the end, I think Alex did. I mean, he's totally fine. And
yeah, he's a lot better now.
It was an experience, and I think after that, the next morning, he was still sad. Yeah. Like, he woke up still thinking about him.
Actually, that night, he was actually pretty sad.
Yeah.
I remember I was so tired, dude, because we like woke up and it happened so fast. We're like, oh, fuck, we're gonna drive 2 hours, 30 minutes. Serena's super pregnant, so it's really hard for her.
Yeah.
Like, we just got dressed super fast, came back home, it was late.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so, like, I was super tired that night, and Alex he was pretty emotional that night. He kept wanting to be with us. And then oh my God, something crazy just happened and I missed it. Anyway, sorry, Alex.
You did not just interrupt the podcast. Tell our followers how much you care. Oh my
God. Virginia Tech just tied it.
Okay, seriously,
I'm sorry.
We're talking about Barney dying.
Sorry,
you're ruining the podcast.
I'm sorry, that was rude.
You don't remember what you were going to say?
No, I was saying Alex that night, he was still very emotional. He didn't want to, he was like trying to be alone, like, I'm gonna go upstairs and like lay down in my room, but then he'd come back down and be like, hey, what are you doing? Serena had fell asleep. She was super tired and emotional herself. So I remember we stayed up and we watched the movie, and I was so tired, and I was like, dude, I just want to go to bed. But then I watched the whole movie with Alex. It was like a comedy movie.
It ended up being like a super emotional weekend.
Yeah, like he was really sad. So like we stayed up and watched the movie together. You fell asleep again.
Yeah.
So me and him watched the movie, and it's like that made like all the difference for him. He's like, I'm really happy we got to watch the movie. Like it made him feel a little better. He also kept saying things like they distracted him, and then like when he was done, he'd like, oh, like I'm sad that it's over because now.
Which is such a bad, like I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's like we do this thing. People do this. Grown adults do this where we're, you know, constantly, like, especially people struggling right now with mental health, it's like you want to be surrounded by other people all the time and you want to distract yourself. And, you know, if you're struggling, you have to go hang out with a friend or a family member, and you never just be alone and feel how you feel and let yourself cry.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to create a habit of deflecting and distracting himself.
Yeah, you sit in those emotions.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, there's a time where it's like, yeah, okay, cool, like, you know, go get out of the house and stuff. Don't just sit in that forever.
Yeah.
But you do have to feel it.
You have to master yourself, right? And so to speak, like you have to sit there, feel those emotions, and understand how to navigate them. Not sit there forever and become depressed.
Well, I think people just like, they're so quick to run away from how they're really feeling, or they're so quick to want to mask all the negative emotions with positive emotions, and it's like, that's not how it works.
Exactly.
That's called toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to help you.
You want to sit there and deal with them.
Yeah, you have to be able to look at them and at least identify them.
I think that's one of the biggest things my anxiety taught me.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
We don't want Alex to be like that, so we're working with them.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
That reminds me of that show we watched, the Ginny show. What's that called?
Ginny in Georgia?
Dude, this show, it's about like these teenage little girls. Man, this girl burns herself as like a way of coping with like stuff that's going on in her life.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even know people did that.
Well, yeah, and like I told Jerome, like it's not uncommon for people to cut themselves or to bring pain to themselves in some way.
Sorry, let me reset the camera.
Watching the show on Netflix, Jerome is like, oh my God, she's like burning herself. And I was like, yeah, I mean, mental health awareness, right? These are things that are actually happening. So
I didn't know people did that. So when I watched it in the show, I was like, man, it's crazy. And there's other things that the show shows. The show shows that like
the way the mom affects the children.
Yeah, like the way like all the other teenagers are kind of growing up, and they all have like these big issues, and they're like 16-year-olds, and they don't know how to kind of deal with it. And it's crazy because they have friends, but then it's like they don't really have someone to talk to. You know what I'm saying? Like you have friends, right, that you talk to and you have conversations. Like I have friends that I joke around about, but then like there's no one that they really tell. Like it's almost like, I don't know, like you're embarrassed, you're ashamed.
Well, it's like you have friends, but they're not friends.
Yeah, it's so
like
weird.
You have friends that are there for you when you just want to chit chat and say all the things, but no one's there when shit hits the fan. You really need someone to talk to.
It's just like these really bad emotions, like bad things that you're dealing with, like these demons. And it's crazy because in the show they're like 16-year-olds and they all live in like a happy suburban life, and it's just like as like, I'm not like, you don't want to like say their problems are less than other people's, but it's just like, man, as big as the problems are in their world, like in their reality, like it's crazy how they have nobody that they could speak with, like not even their parents. And it's just like, damn, like it makes you think when you have kids, you're like, I don't want my kid to be like that. Like I want him to be able to talk to me.
Yeah.
But it's funny because these shows show you that it's like, that's hard. Like I don't know if it's true or not, but like we'll see. Like I guess you have to have a really good relationship with your kids.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like I feel like the complete opposite of you. Like I feel like I experienced a lot of that when I was growing up, right? Like I remember, I think I was telling you, like when my dad passed away, like I definitely had that episode of like, for whatever reason, I think I remember like my best friend at the time would like cut herself. She was going through like a lot of stuff at home, and her home life was pretty, just a lot of things going on. And then I remember like when my dad passed away, I was like, oh, and it's like it's almost like you want to hurt yourself because you can control that pain. I think that's kind of like some of the psychological like understanding behind like cutting yourself. And I remember wanting to like do that, and I never did it. Yeah, I tried to, but I couldn't do it. And I just remember being angry and like listening to music, and I was so sad. And yet like my mom didn't know I was in my room with my music raging, and she just
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like, you know what I mean? I couldn't talk to her about it. And so, but I guess like my point is like you didn't necessarily experience that in high school. I feel like that's just one of the, I was like 10, okay? So that was just the beginning of all of the, I I feel like what I went through in high school was like, I can relate to that show. You know, like my friends were struggling, all the things. I only had my one best friend who I was able to talk to. And that's why I think, you know, as the years have went on, we've grown apart. We were like best friends since kindergarten. We've grown apart, and it was really hard to grow apart because we had been through so much in those years when, you know, you might think like, wow, like that, you think that's such a big deal when you're 16, and it's true. It's like, wow, like what? Like if we could only look back and tell ourselves now, but in that moment, that's your whole life. It's everything. And those are the years where you're like losing your virginity and having your first boyfriends or girlfriends and like all of these big things, and your hormones and life, and you're starting to be a little testing out your parents a little bit, like all of these things. And so then it's like, what is your home life, right? Like you had a very solid home life. You had solid siblings.
I would say I had really good role models.
You had really good role models. So
everyone that was older than me, like I could see what they did, and it was easy to copy. But man, like
you just had a good environment, honestly. Like there was like, why would you do something else? And there are situations like people are like, man, like we had a good family, and then this one person
truck is pulling up. Sorry, I'm gonna shut the window.
But we have like a good family, and then you see like the one kid ends up on drugs. Well, there was something going on, right? So, but so then like versus Jerome's upbringing and then my upbringing is just different. I seen different things, and you know, I kind of modeled what I seen.
I lost my train of thought closing the window. But it's just it's crazy. But what I guess my point was like to say like it's scary to think like you said you've experienced something similar to that, and it's just like I had things I'd want to talk to about, but for some reason I guess when you're a teenager you don't want to talk to your parents. It's scary. We're not there yet. How to
keep that open.
We're not there yet. Alex is only 8, so I can't speak on that. Like,
I mean, we've already been kind of trying to work on that. So like, you know, he's gotten in trouble at school and tried to lie to us about it or not say anything, but I'm like, the teacher already called us.
Luckily. And
so now he'll come home from school and be like, so we were at recess and my friend asked if we could wrestle. Like he'll just tell us random things. So now he's doing that, and I think it starts now. You know, it started a while ago. You know, but we're really working on it now, and I think that's exactly what you do. I mean, that's right. Is like, you want your kids to talk to you later. Encourage them to talk to you now. One thing that we had to work on as parents is, when Alex does do something bad with school or whatever, don't just immediately reprimand him. Don't just immediately like yell at him and all the things, because then he's never going to tell you anything again.
Facts.
So that I think that was the big turning point for us, is like it's easy to say, oh, telling us the truth is better than lying to us. Like you're always going to get a better outcome. But that doesn't matter when our behavior isn't of that, right? In the beginning, like he'd get in trouble, and then our behavior is like, you're grounded in this and that. And he's like, well,
why'd
fuck
you
me.
do that? Like, chasing after him.
And you're like yelling at him and trying to, and that's not how you should respond, because then in the future, he's definitely not going to want to tell you what happened.
It's always interesting too, like
they're going to make mistakes. And they're gonna
not only that, but it's just like, he's a human too. And it's just like, man, he's like a big little human right now. He's only 8. So of course we still like lay down the law on him, but it's also like talking to him like he's a person, not my kid. Like I think there's a difference, you know? It's interesting. Well,
it's kind of like, and I mean, you can put this in your own words, but it's like, your kids are like not yours. Like, do people understand that?
That's what I'm saying,
Like, you get to give birth to this child and raise this human being, and he is going to leave you. He or she is going to leave the nest, right?
They'll also start to conform their own thoughts on what they think is right. Like
they are their own person. So I feel like it's our job to have the right relationship with him so that we can guide him. If they don't let you, it's like, it's really hard, right? And I feel like that's what happened with me and my mom, is like, whatever happened in our dynamic, I didn't let her guide me.
Right?
I didn't respect her. I didn't listen to her. We didn't communicate.
There's an old saying, you could take a horse to the lake and have it drink water, but you can't make it drink the water.
There you go.
So
I think, I mean, that's what I think. I think it starts now with the way that we respond to him. But I think it's interesting because, like, if you think about it in life, like, you're going to mess up so many times. Like, there's going to be so many things that happen. And it's like, what does yelling at your kids actually do for them?
Dude, it's like, an easy example would be, I'm an adult, right? The other day, Sarina, she's an adult too. The other day, obviously, the other day you had your water, you spilled it all over the couch. Mm-hmm. Pause, because if Alex did that, I would have yelled at him.
Yeah.
Did I yell at you?
No, because I'm an adult.
Exactly. So what difference is it? It was an accident when you did it. It'd be an accident probably when Alex did it. He's not grabbing water and throwing it on our couch.
Yeah.
But it's just like, why do I respond to you that way? But then when Alex is there, my initial thought would have been to yell at him and be like, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
But it was an accident.
Yeah. It's
so
funny because now you just say, let the record show if Alex did that, I would have started yelling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like, you got to be better.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that I do want to improve on.
Yeah. It's interesting because as the defiant child that I was, my poor mother, I always, and don't get me, like, this is going to go to whoever it may, like, there's also a level of respect that of course has to be had. However, I always as a child grew up very independent and on my own in a lot of ways. And so I would always tell adults, like, I've had like people obviously older than me when I was younger, and they'd say like, you need to respect me because I'm your elder. And I'm like, if you don't respect me, why do I have to respect you just because of your age? Like the number of how many years you've been on this earth. Well, you're like, you are so disrespectful. I would tell like adults this, like, you are so disrespectful.
Yeah.
You are being rude to me. You're treating me like crap. You're yelling at me, but you don't want me to yell back at you because you have a wrinkle on your face. Like, that literally doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm not saying that that's right or how to respond, but Alex happens to be the same kind of human.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you don't want me to yell at you, but you're yelling at me.
Yeah.
Like, he very much thinks the same way. And it's funny because as we're having this conversation, I'm like what you just said, I'm thinking, no, but it makes complete sense. Like, yeah, we have to teach them how to have respect and all of these different things. But at the same time, you know, they say like, and every parent is different in their parenting style, but it's like they say, you know, what does hitting your kids do? Promotes violence. Like, it thinks, oh, hitting your kids is the answer. Hit people. Like, is that the way to go? And so it's like, well, what does yelling at your kids do? Teach them that yelling and freaking out is the way to go. So it's like, why are we not treating them like humans? Like, why are we not treating them like the person that they are? Like, they're not adults yet. There's things to be learned, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's because you're trying to make someone that respects people, I guess, or like you're trying to make them like.
But there has to be another way.
Yeah, it's
like, I don't want Alex to blindly, and this is something that we have talked about, like whether it's in school or at work or in life, I don't want Alex to just blindly do whatever the leader or the older person or the adult says to do. That's not what we should be teaching our kids. That's how kids get sexually abused. And like, I mean, think about it. That's what happens. You're like, oh, but this is someone, like, I can't say anything. This person's an adult. And then bad things happen.
It's a drastic example.
Well,
I get what you're saying.
But that's how drastic it can be when we train our kids to just
like robots.
Yeah, we just train them like, respect your elders and da da da, and then like they're like in their 20s and 30s and 40s coming back saying, well, I respected my elders and I was abused and this happened. Or in jobs, you get a job and then someone tells you to do something and you do it and you knew it was wrong. Mm-hmm. Like we're like creating sheep, right? Yeah.
But I guess that also depends on like their character development and all these other things, though.
I mean, I'm just saying, I think my point is that we shouldn't be raising our children to just like respect their elders. That's not how it should be, in my personal opinion.
What do they say, like, respect isn't given, it's earned?
Yeah. Oh, but not when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Not when you're a kid, that doesn't apply. So I'm just saying there has to be.
You just start respecting people for no reason.
Right. Yeah, what the hell?
I don't know.
So it's interesting, but parenting is fun. It's just, there's so many different things to look at and be mindful of, and you know what I mean?
It's like when Alex tells me to make him pizza for lunch, and I'm like, you do it. And he's like, well, you're my dad.
He says that. He's like, well, you're my dad. But it's funny because he'll say, well, you're my dad. Like, you're supposed to help me.
When do I tell him not? Like, you're big enough. Like, he can reach the microwave. He knows how to do it.
Now, I mean, he's already fine. But then there's also just this level of like wanting your parents to.
But isn't that him being like dependent on
It's like when you want to be carried to bed.
But he's too big.
There's a balance. Do it sometimes. You don't have to do it all the time.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just love, you know. Anyways,
man, well that was
got carried away there.
That was just yeah, I don't know how that got about, but there were other things that we could talk about.
What did you have? We have a few.
Basically just like kind of like what we're focusing on now. How are you pregnant, babe? How's it been? We're going in deep. You could talk about that for another hour, huh?
I was gonna say, man, we can do a whole separate podcast episode on third trimester planning. I mean, honestly,
I was gonna talk about how we did the Mama Natural course and all that stuff.
We should do that for next week.
I was going to talk about how I'm doing with the pregnancy.
But that's a lot. There's so much to say, and I think for anyone who is pregnant, has been pregnant, is interested, and has kids, all the things, we have so much to share. I think
some thoughts. But we haven't got through the birthing process. Maybe we should save it.
No. I think just preparing for birth. There's a lot of things that I'm doing right now to prepare with my mindset, with the course, with how you're doing. Third trimester feels. Oh my gosh, we could talk about that.
We're going to do a mini trip in about 3 weeks.
Oh my god,
dude! Right, we're gonna be gone for like a weekend.
There's a lot. I think we should save that for next week. I think that's a great.
Well, the challenge continues though, so this is the Name Our Baby challenge. I'm gonna keep it going. So I'm gonna expire the last TikTok. I posted a TikTok, so all the TikTok followers can see this shit. I'm gonna expire the last post. It doesn't exist anymore, and that deal's gone on that one. But I'm gonna post it again when this podcast is up. Name Our Baby. It starts with an X. So
he is a boy. His name starts with an X. And if you can guess what his name is, we'll send you a $100 Starbucks gift card.
Just Starbucks?
Yeah.
Starbies? For $100 of Starbies?
Do you want to do any pick? All right.
We could do Venmo, Cash App.
Yeah.
We're happy, but if you can name our
I say
one entry.
You should. I'm going to higher the stakes here. Guess the baby's name and I think leave a review on our podcast.
All right, fine.
Because for $100, I'm going to send you $100. Just leave us an honest review and guess the baby's name. No one's trying to listen to the whole podcast. I'm playing. I think that would be epic, and we'll send it.
I'm going to post them on TikTok, so if you don't have a TikTok account, make one, follow us. It's Cafecito.
Con JJ.
And Sarina.
Yeah.
Follow the page, just look up our names, you probably find it.
Put the link in the bio.
Link's gonna be in the bio of our TikTok. Follow us and then like the post and then comment on the post and leave a review on the podcast.
Yeah.
Do all 4 of those things, but you gotta guess the baby's name right. You'll get your $100.
There you go. All right.
1 entry per person.
Catch you in the next episode.
Peace.
Bye.